Hello everybody and welcome back to Animal Crossing City Folk. I know what you're thinking right away. You must have bought turnips earlier. No, I didn't. Roscoe. Steven, thanks for being here for me. I'm a better animal for knowing you. I'm leaving Halifax behind, but I'll be thinking of you in my new home. Oh. I didn't realize he was even thinking of moving. Once again, our room is getting less. We're getting less, even though we have literally Gracie Grace furniture on our second floor. Like, I don't get it. I really do not get it. But yeah, earlier I was really stressing out over what I was going to stream. Because I wanted to do something on my desktop, because I was testing out just using OBS Studio, because I figured out how to get all of the nice little widgets I'd been using with Streamlabs OBS just working with OBS Studio. And OBS Studio is literally what I record these episodes of Animal Crossing on. It has literally never failed me. So I figured, okay, if I can get that working, I'll be set. But then I wanted to find something I could stream from my desktop so I could see how well that would work. And I couldn't think of anything. Rare piece of kitty stereo. Would be pretty rare. And I ultimately came to, I'll stream Pokemon Showdown. I've talked competitive Pokemon on here, and as I was playing, I got a little too excited, and my throat's really sore now. Which is great. I can still talk normally, it's just talking hurts. It's that kind of sore, like I've overworked my vocal cords kind of sore. Because I was getting kind of excited, is the best way to put it. Like, I was getting legitimately loud. I was also bumping the microphone a lot, so I'm not used to it being next to me. Let's talk with Carmen. Oh, it's Darling. It's totally dark. I guess I got all distracted and stuff. Teehee. Walking time, time to get all fit and stuff. Just ate like 50 pounds of pumpkin pie. Hey, that's seasonal. Hey, Amelia. Spoon, aren't you excited for another fun night out in the town? So, just lazing around outside like this isn't bad, is it, Woomy? I mean, this is the only time you can really stop and think, don't you think? Going for a walk is the perfect time to reflect on important things, like what everyone's wearing. I think I've mentioned this before, but I legit agree with that. Back when I lived in Digby, I used to go for a walk, 2 a.m. on the dot, every night. And, no wait, it was 1 a.m. Not 2 a.m., 1 a.m. I'm forgetting my own old schedule. Like, I did it same time every night. Until I started working nights, that is. And then I did it on my days off. And I would literally just walk along in the dead silence, talking to myself aloud. Because I knew there was no one around. And if there was, they're not going to approach someone who's walking along and talking to themselves and making decently exaggerated movements as well. I probably seemed very crazy, but what I was doing was I was sorting out problems I was having. Like, I've not really, I've only ever seen one therapist, and it was while I was going to the NSCC. Their counselors doubled as a therapist. And it literally kind of hit true with what I was doing, of you're your own best therapist. You just need to know the tools to be that. And one of those is just learning how to talk to yourself. I'll release it. I didn't realize my pockets were that full. Yeah, we have a lot of stuff to go and sell. Okay. Just gotta quit this, sort my inventory out by flipping those around. But like that kind of hit home with me of like I've been basically giving myself therapy for forever. Because one thing that to note about how I tend to talk to myself, when I'm talking to myself, I'm more or less having a full conversation to myself where I'm both in support of and against whatever I'm talking about. Which helps me come to a good understanding of where I actually stand on whatever I'm talking about. Like, a good example would just simply be, I don't know, if a game was good or not. Like, say Sins of a Solar Empire. I don't like that game. I don't imagine anyone who likes traditional RTSs would like that game. It's slow, it's boring, it's bland. It takes literally about an hour, really, before you've actually started doing anything. And my oldest brother loves the game. I was trying to mostly myself figure out why. Because, in my opinion, he's always been, he's never been the best at picking good games, but he's good enough. A lot of the games he likes aren't good, and there are better alternatives. He just refuses to look for them, or when he finds them, the nostalgia of finding that first game first means he likes it more. He's also slowly transitioned from a basically retro gamer to a it must look amazing. I mean, it's not to that degree, but he's getting there. If a game doesn't look good, that is major points against him playing it. Which really puts me into contrast, because I'll literally, in recent days, I've gone back and tried to figure out Dwarf Fortress, a game literally made of just text. It has a map that's made of text. Everything on the map is text. And what I mean by that is, like, things are laid out in, like, P's. Like, it's all text. It's weird, and I kind of like it. I kind of like that aesthetic. I'm like, I don't care at all about the visuals of a game. Is basically the point I'm trying to make there. Like, I don't care at all. One of my favorite games to go back and play is still the first Uncharted Waters for the SNES. On the SNES, I should say. Because it was released on the NES as well. Only I only played it on the SNES. So, never know, I might actually like it better on the NES. Or possibly the Sega Mega Drive, I believe it was also released for. It was released for a lot of things. I kind of wish more games these days were released like that. Where not only do they release on multiple consoles, they release over multiple console generations. Like, as much as I'm not the biggest fan of the game, I imagine a lot of Borderlands 2 fans really wish they could play Borderlands 2 on their, say, PS4 or their Xbox One. I mean, it would be nice, to be able to play a game you enjoy on your most modern system, instead of having to keep around the older system just to play that game. Because I know a lot of people like to sell their old consoles the moment they're done with them. I'm not like that. I literally, in this room, I'm going to stop so I can look around and name off everything I can just see from my computer desk of game consoles. Nintendo Switch, Wii U, Wii, PlayStation 2, N64, SNES. If I slid my chair back slightly, I'd be able to see an Xbox 360 as well. There's also, if I were to stand up and take a step towards the entrance of my room, I'd be able to see a GameCube. Like, I have a lot of games consoles just right here. Oh, Tank wants something. Hey, buddy. Okay. You're on an extremely long jumping vacation. You can't rest until you get a souvenir. You see 2 things at the souvenir stand. 1, a classic chair. 2, a toothbrush. What do you go for? Number 1. Yeah? Are you serious? Well then, this is all yours, bro. Kapow! Hey! Thanks, buddy. I had a sudden brain cramp and bought that thing when I was on vacation. It's not really my kind of thing, so I don't even know where to put it. You obviously want it more than the toothbrush, so I'm just gonna give it to you. I mean, fair enough, buddy. It's always nice. But yeah, like... I've kind of gotten away from my point that I was making. I even forget what that point was going to be. I got talking about games consoles and started reminiscing. Like, literally where I'm sitting. I just realized. Oh, wait, no. Technically, I missed a game. 2 game systems. 3DS, Game Boy Advance. Game Boy Color. PSP. I'm noticing them more now that I'm looking at my desk, because I leave those on my desk. I was looking around my desk. I have a lot of games consoles. I would never sell any of them. Quite honestly, I want to build up a games collection. I want to own one of every game that has a physical copy. I know that is a huge task and is going to require a lot of money. But I really want to do it. And with the internet being a thing, it's remarkably possible. Because I can just hop on, say, eBay and buy a thing. I wouldn't buy something expensive like a copy of like Earthbound or something, because there's a good chance it's going to be fake. But I would hop on there and buy like, I don't even know why I came down here. You know what, let's have a coffee. I would buy like a copy of Pokemon Blue. Wait, no, I have Blue. Pokemon Red. I have Yellow and Blue, but I don't have Red. So I'd buy a copy of Pokemon Red. And I'd probably try and buy the box for Blue and Yellow, because I don't have the box for those. Like the box and manual and stuff. And say I'd buy a copy of Kirby Triple Deluxe. I don't have that game. Kirby Robobot. Planet Robobot. No, I have that one now. I'm trying to think through all the missing Kirby games I don't have. But, like, you get the idea. Like, I want a physical copy of them all. But I would only buy online cheap games that people aren't gonna be making counterfeits of, because they're cheap games. I'm glad to say that literally this copy of Animal Crossing City Folk is technically added to that list of collected games. Because I got it with the box, all of the stuff that comes with it, when you were to have bought it. It was the complete, still in its packaging package. Which was really nice, especially where I got it for like $14. That, to me, is ridiculous. That a game like Animal Crossing would sell for that little. Like, this is a game that undoubtedly means a lot to a lot of people. Because to a lot of people, this is their first Animal Crossing game. And that is just a magical thing. Like, your first Animal Crossing. For me, my first was New Leaf. Not because I didn't, think I'd like the games, just because I couldn't get my hands on one of them before. As I believe I've explained, growing up in Digby, the only game store was Walmart. And they would only order in what they assumed they could sell. So that meant they'd always have the newest Call of Duty, but they might not have something like Animal Crossing. Especially when Animal Crossing was new, they weren't going to have that. That would have been a huge risk for that tiny Walmart to order that in. Because they might not have been able to sell it. They would have just had copies sitting around. And no one buying them. So they might have only ordered like 5 copies. And they all sold out. But because they sold out on the 5, that doesn't mean people are interested. That just means 5 people were. And where no one else really went in and asked for Animal Crossing, they're not going to order more in. Look, present. So, growing up, I always wanted an Animal Crossing game. It's just, it was virtually impossible to get one in Digby. Because when the first one came out, online ordering wasn't really a thing. Wait. Tank, was your vacation, like, to just over the mountainside? Might as well get these fossils identified. But, like, as much as I talk about that as if it was a bad thing, at the same time, we did end up being able to get stuff like, Fire Emblem Sacred Stones. Because it was something they assumed they'd be able to sell, because it was a tactics-based game, and tactics games sold really well in Digby. There was a lot of people in that town that liked tactics games. Funnily enough, Fire Emblem didn't sell too well. I think that Walmart might actually still have a few copies of Fire Emblem's Sacred Stones in the back. Like, that is something I learned far too late, is that if you go in and ask for an older game, they might be able to pull it out of the back. And if they have it there, they'll pull it out and sell it to you for a fraction of what it's actually worth. Like, and also I learned something far too late, that if you're buying a product and you can visibly tell that product is damaged in some way, my point here is, you know, the key thing here is, say you're buying a bicycle and you can see part of the chain is rusted. Talk to a manager. You might be able to get a discount on it. It's not guaranteed, and only do it if you can tell it's been damaged by the company's neglect. Like, once again, like a chain with a bike with a rusty chain. That's because they left it outside too long, and the weather got to it. It also means it was last season's bike, meaning they probably really want to get rid of it. I say that because my current bicycle, it's a little small for me because I bought it a while back when I was, well, smaller. Hey, Amelia. Hey, you have a moment, darling? I found a nickname that would really suit you, Woomy. What is it? Here it is. Kiddo. Okay. So, don't you think it's perfect for you, Woomy? It's great. Well, I'm glad you like it, Woomy. From now on, I'll refer to you as Kiddo. See you later, Kiddo. I guess she's moved on from me. My harem is shrinking. My harem includes, I think, Tank. Yeah, my current bicycle was being sold in Walmart for, I think it was like $250. But it had been outside the entire previous year, and the price tag had worn away. I only knew it was like $240-ish because I took it to a wall scanner and scanned what was left of the barcode, and it managed to still pick it up. And that's how I know, you know, what it was. But I flagged down a manager and I was like, hey, you know, the chain on this is a bit rusty. Like, you know, the tires are flat. Lord knows how long this has been being moved around on flat tires, like on its wheels. The inner tubes could be damaged. You know, would there be any way I could get a discount on this, maybe? If not, it's cool. I'll go pick out another bike. And he looked at it. he looked at the rust, and he's there like, yeah, this thing's clearly seen a year or so of weather. And then he grabbed his little tag gun and basically changed it to $70. And went, there you go, $70. There's your bike. And he slapped the little tag on, and bam, I got a $240 bike for $70 because the chain was rusty. And I wasn't rude about asking the manager. Like I said, I literally said, if I can't get a discount on it, it's cool, I'll just go grab another bike. But he wanted to get rid of that bike. It had been in storage for a year. He couldn't get a new bike in because that one was still there. He wanted to get rid of it. And with how long it had sat in the store, no one buying it, I had come along, I wanted to buy it. Yeah, have it. But with that, I would like to point out to everyone that I do have a Patreon should you wish to support me financially and help me upgrade my computer, and possibly, this is something I don't think I've ever mentioned before. I have mentioned I'm colorblind. If I can start getting enough money ahead, I might actually end up, I plan on eventually end up buying some colorblind glasses that are meant to help colorblind people. But that's going to be a long way down the road. I'd need to be, like, in excess of, like, $300-ish ahead. So don't worry too much about it. I'm just trying to set more of what long-term I'm going to spend the money on. Short-term, probably the first thing I'm going to start working towards is getting some new games for the channel. Right now, I have a few in backlog I want to do. And I am working on getting them closer and closer to happening. It's just taking a lot of time because I'm having to basically play through the game again, so I'm sure I know the game. Now, I also want to start doing some more blind playthroughs, but I don't have any games I haven't played through before. Well, I have a few on Steam that I'll probably look through at some point, but a lot of games I own I've played through, so I can't really play those. I need new games for that. Oh, excuse me, I've been drinking soda today. I'm surprised that's the first time I've had any gas during this recording session. Another thing I'm probably going to end up spending any money I can get on is keeping my desktop alive. As I mentioned on the Patreon, it's about 10 years old, and it wasn't even close to top of the line then. A few parts of it were, like the CPU in it is amazing, even still by today's standards. It's just not the fastest. It's still an i7 though, which is really good. It's just not a great i7. It's kind of a early i7. The graphics card in it is budget. It's a GTX 950. I'd love to get that replaced and upgraded with at least a 1060. If I'd waited a few months, I could have just bought the 1060. The desktop needs more RAM. It's at about 7. It's got 7 gigs of RAM, and not all of them are the same type of RAM sticks. So it'll have times when it conflicts with itself. It's weird. I should stop talking about this stuff and just end the episode off. So with that, I thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time for more Animal Crossing City Folk. See you all then.